At just 23 years of age, Phil Foden is one of the most decorated players in the football world at the moment. His trophy cabinet consists of 5 Premier League titles, 4 EFL Cup titles, 2 FA Cup titles and a UCL medal. He may not have clinched any silverware with England and been knocked out of the UEFA Champions League since Man City's recent loss to Real Madrid in the quarter-finals, but reaching the quarter and semi-finals of the World Cup and European Championship respectively is proof that this wonder kid can still help the Three Lions break their trophy drought since 1966. Yet, despite such an illustrious career since entering the spotlight at 17, the Englishman's career feels slightly overwhelming, and critics have laughed at him for several reasons. But why? What else does the versatile City man have to do to prove his mettle? This is the scary truth about Phil Foden that doesn't get talked about enough, just like the people who don't talk about this channel. So why not give this video a like, subscribe and hit that notifications button so everyone can learn more about rising stars like Phil Foden. Okay, now let's get into another jaw-dropping story with Footballers Weekly. Although Phil Foden has proved beyond reasonable doubt his ability to win trophies, the most criticised part of his game is his seeming inability to become a more prominent player for club or country. He's mostly considered a substitute as opposed to a starter, and fingers have been pointed at many, from Gareth Southgate to Pep Guardiola to, last but not least, the player himself. But who is truly at fault? The answer is both underwhelming and infuriating. No one. Phil Foden's unique situation is down to his development. Pep has pleaded for patience with the midfielder as voices have grown louder for the midfielder to get more game time as opposed to being rotated or used as a stand-in for older teammates. Although the critics make sense on paper, their wants could prove detrimental to the player in the long run. Compared to England teammate Bukayo Saka, Foden has played fewer minutes since his debut, but not for lack of quality. The problem with relying on younger players is that they burn out faster than they develop, which could greatly hamper their development. The world of football isn't lacking any examples of this. Wayne Rooney was already burnt out in his 30s because he became a key player for Everton, Manchester United and England from a young age. As he grew older, his output depleted until he was plying his trade for Derby County. Next came an early retirement when other players in his age group were in their prime and still played for big clubs too. For perspective, Cristiano Ronaldo is older than Wayne Rooney, and CR7 is still going strong as a top player in the world, and many die-hard fans bestow Ronaldo the title of GOAT. In fact, the Portuguese man seems to be on the resurgence, as Ronaldo nears the 900 career goals mark. Rooney, on the other hand, has gone from a washed-up player to a washed-up coach, and he's not yet 40. But these are older footballers. For younger rising stars around Phil Foden's age, we need to only look at the likes of Pedri, Gavi and Ansu Fati, who were all crucial in Barcelona's transition period and have paid the ultimate price of being injury-prone. Fati has since gone from a Messi replacement to a Brighton player, while Pedri languishes in the treatment room. Thankfully, Guardiola knows better, and his management of the Englishman has proved the wiser choice. The Spaniard deployed Foden for only 43 minutes in his breakout year, 327 minutes in the following 2018-19 season, and 892 minutes in the 2019-20 season. Instead, he relied on more established names to carry the team, like Riyad Mahrez, Ilkay Gundogan, David Silva, Kevin De Bruyne, Sergio Aguero and Jack Grealish. Guardiola even fought to keep Foden from going out on loan to hone his skills, believing that the Englishman had better chances learning from the teeming pool of talent that were his older teammates. He wasn't wrong. Pep has proved his ability as a great coach and talent developer. You only need to look at Lionel Messi to see his handiwork, so his insistence on keeping Foden close and gradually easing him into the first team was genius. Through careful development and nurturing, Foden has also proved his managed methods work, as he's come to be one of the most crucial players at Man City despite not featuring regularly like others. That tells us a lot. His highest playing time was 2,134 minutes in the 2021-22 season, and in the current one, he's at 2,456 minutes and poised to break the 3,000 limit. If that isn't proof that Guardiola trusts the Englishman's development, I don't know what is. It was only 7 years ago in 2017 that Foden was given the nod. His debut came in the Champions League against Feyenoord, when he was brought on to replace Man City legend Yaya Toure. Who would have thought that moment would prove poetic years later, that Guardiola was indeed swapping the past for an exciting future? But perhaps the biggest proof of what was to come was Foden winning the Golden Ball in the same year at the Under-17s World Cup in India. It's hard to decide what makes Phil Foden's rise as a key man for Manchester City. Courtesy of the Citizens Ultras, the song is rendered to the tune of Bruce Springsteen's Dancing in the Dark. It goes as such. But beyond the glamour now, Phil Foden has always shown signs of being a star. This much has been confirmed by Mark Allen, who was the academy director at Manchester City for much of the Englishman's formative years. Allen revealed Phil wasn't the biggest. Physically, there was no way he could compete, but he was smart enough to work around that. His frustration came when he saw players in his group being promoted into older groups. While he had the ability to do that, it wasn't wise or prudent to push him into overage groups where it was significantly more physical. I had several conversations with him about that. His revelation further plays into Guardiola's insistence to delay Foden's insertion into the first team. The Spaniard never doubted the midfielder's quality when he first started to come up around the first team at age 16. But Pep thought Foden was far from a finished product, particularly defensively. Foden just didn't have the awareness to read and understand the game enough to play a central part in the Man City machine, knowing when to make a defensive or offensive play. Guardiola has since remarked on the youngster's development, saying after the 3-1 Manchester derby win, he was always a talented player, but now he is more mature and understands more the game, especially defensively. And after the Bournemouth game, in which the midfielder produced another stellar display, Guardiola asked, rhetorically, forget about the goals, they are important, but do you know how he played? How he controlled and accelerated? Acceleration was never a problem, but the control is there now, and with it is another quality. Man City rival and legend Paul Scholes is the latest football figure to jump on the Foden hype train, hailing how much the midfielder has contributed to Man City's attempts to defend their treble titles this season. In his words, this season, he, Foden, has taken it to a new level where his goals at important times are potentially winning league titles. That is when you take your game to another level. He is still 23 and there is still so much to come from him. He has become a league winner. He's a better footballer than Frank Lampard, but Frank Lampard scored goals and won leagues for his club from midfield. You expect centre forwards to do it. Haaland, you just expect his numbers. You expect Michael Owen's numbers when the team is doing well. But from a midfield point of view, you've really got to take the game by the scruff of the neck and say, right, I'm going to get us back into this game. I'm going to win us leagues. I'm going to win us games. I think Frank Lampard was like that, and I think Phil Foden is starting to do that, goals-wise. Suffice it to say that Foden is ready now more than ever before, and unlike other overworked youngsters who've had to carry their teams for years, he's as fresh as a debutant but with the experience of a first-team player. He was never quite the rejected ugly duckling many perceived him to be when Guardiola only picked him sparingly. He was a protege and still is now, but rather than bursting onto the scene, fully formed and important like Wayne Rooney or Jude Bellingham, he's had to take his time, courtesy of Pep. Even if, for some reason, the Stockport-born midfielder decides to bow out of the beautiful game today, he'd go out in the best form of his life and with a shinier trophy cabinet than many players who played into their twilight years. He also has a successful career before his 24th birthday, giving him years ahead to achieve more. This is the scary truth about Phil Foden. Do you agree with our assessment? Was his coach smart to take it slow with Phil Foden, or should he have given him more game minutes early in his career? We love hearing your thoughts, so comment below, and please subscribe, like, and tell your family and friends about Footballers Weekly. You never know, Phil Foden may respond to your gracious feedback. See you in the next video. Peace.